live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and blasttheradio.com. This is the Lowell Green Show. The number to call and be heard around the world is 613-413-2217. Or email Lowell at blasttheradio.com. And now, here is Lowell Green.
John, only one conclusion that a sane person can make to draw from last night's debate. Jean Charest got smoked, torched, kicked in the arse with a frozen boot, train wrecked. The wheels fell off his bus. Anybody who doesn't think Poilievre won last night's debate by a country mile is either a dyed-in-the-wool liberal, NDP or Green Party supporter, or perhaps blind, deaf, and dumb, particularly dumb. It was Pierre Poilievre at his very best. I hope you saw it. If you didn't see the debate live, I hope you've seen some of the coverage. He was powerful, command, in charge, well-prepared, forceful, honest, and bang on with many of his comments, especially his attacks on Charest and, interestingly, CBC. If Pierre wants to get a cheer, all he's got to say is, I'm going to defund CBC. In fact, one of his better lines was when he turned to Charest and said, I forget what the issue was now. Charest was pounding away on something, and Pierre turned to him and said, well, Mr. Charest, you, just like every other liberal, heard that on the CBC. And, of course, loud cheers from the crowd on that one. And by the way, folks, don't pay any attention to those lefties who keep claiming that the conservatives are harming themselves. They're fighting too much. Nonsense. People love it. You know why? Because it's honest. It's not bullshit. It's honesty. This is how real people like each other, dislike each other, react with each other, stand up for each other. This is how real people do it, folks. It's not the wishy-washy word salad that we hear so often. And not only that, I'm going to tell you, last night's debate, in my opinion, and I've seen, I guess, most of them for, 50 years, was one of the best of its kind I have ever seen. It wasn't even an official debate, but it was good. No punches pulled, honest emotion, giving us, among other things, a very close look at how the contenders perform under pressure. Gives you a pretty good look at what the real person is. And I'm going to tell you, compared to most of the tepid, ho-hum debates that we've seen in the past, this one not only was revealing, it was fun. It was exciting. It was real life, the way real people think, talk, and react, okay, if they're being honest. And I'm going to tell you, for a conservative gathering to generate this kind of interest and excitement is mighty, mighty refreshing. I'm going to tell you, if you really want to get the CBC behind you, or at least behind the event, just, start a little fight, and then the CBC, because the CBC really believes this is harming the conservatives. It's not. It's creating interest, excitement, and it's, as I say, it's revealing the real people, what they are really like under pressure. All I can say is the next official debate is in Edmonton next Wednesday. Thank goodness we now apparently are informed of this. And I hope they keep it up. I hope they do exactly the same thing, because it's, as I keep repeating, it's honest. It's honest emotion. Although I must tell you, if I were Jean Charest after last night, I think that I would suddenly discover that I really want to spend more time with my family. And just,
that may be one of my favorite Lowell Green lines ever. Wow.
I mean, he's not only yesterday's man with all kinds of baggage, some of which excuse me, some of which Pierre dragged out. But he looked lost. I mean, there he is. Pierre is attacking him very calmly, very resolutely, and he's standing there smiling. Well, I'm going to tell you, normal people don't smile when they're being eviscerated. So he's standing there smiling, smiling, smiling the whole time, which is phony, and everybody knows it. Let's face it. Now, you may disagree, and if you do, if you saw it differently, sure love to hear from you. You must have seen a different debate than me, but everybody sees things differently. So I'd really like to know your take on it and what you think some of Pierre's favorite lines were, where you think he did his best. Now, John, you have an interesting observation. A couple of people have been critical. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of people have been critical over the fact that he's his signs and he keeps saying that he is running for prime minister.
Yep.
And a couple of people say, no, you're not running for prime minister. You're running for leadership of the Conservative Party. So
Right.
you're being dishonest. You have a very interesting take on this. I'd like to hear that. Yeah.
And you know what, Lowell? I was guilty of that too. When he first declared that, I went on a deep dig. I'm like, has he left the Conservative Party? Like the branding's not even on it. What's up here? And I had all kinds of questions. But when I really got thinking about it, what he has done in any walk of life where you talk about leaders set goals. And what he has done for himself by saying, I'm running for prime minister instead of I'm running for leader of the Conservative Party, he's left zero room for doubt. That's a leader. That's his eye on the prize. And that's a get in line and follow me. We're headed to the top kind of statement.
That's his vision.
That is his vision. And he's not settling for second. So, I mean, I scratched my head when he first declared it, but when I really dig deep into it, that's what I see. And you know what, Lowell? He's a very different person these days in front of the camera. I see him in the House of Commons. He's aggressive. He's a pit bull. He's yelling. He's anxious. And I've said this on the show. I don't know about him as a leader. He just seems, I don't know if he's got that appeal, especially to the female voter that you talk about all the time, who's so, inclined to lean towards a Justin Trudeau or a Jagmeet Singh. I'm seeing a different person these days on the campaign trail. He's poised. He's not yelling. He's biting with his humor, but he's very comfortable in this role. He's incredibly comfortable in this role.
I agree. And your idea that in selling himself as running for prime minister is his vision. This
right.
is, and it displays, among other things, extreme confidence, which I think people look for.
100%.
There's no question when he's there, when you see this, this is the first time I have seen him perform outside the House of Commons. I mean, other than personally, of course. But
right.
And I was very pleased. I was very pleased. He obviously was not the least bit intimidated. He was. I keep coming back to the word. He was commanding. He looked like a leader. He looked like a guy that could go off and meet with other world leaders, not only hold his own, but gain their respect, which sadly now is we are losing.
So that speaks to exactly the mindset that I see him adopting with a statement like, I'm running for prime minister. And once he's living in that headspace, it's pretty tough to knock somebody down when they're there.
So I'm asking my listeners your assessment. Okay, you're the voter. Do you agree or not with me? What was the most revealing part of the debate as far as you're concerned? Do you agree that this was one of the more interesting political debates that we have seen in recent years? And when was the last time that you saw this kind of media coverage for anything conservative? And what about Pierre? Do you support? Do you like him? What did you find that attracted you the most about the debate last night? The number to call, John, let's go through that again, please.
You betcha. 613-413-2217. 613-413-2217. You can text that line as well. If you're on Facebook, either on Lowell's page, my page, or the Blast the Radio page, just post your comments wherever you ordinarily post your comments. And while you're at it, if you could give us a share on your timeline, that would be really, really appreciated. On Twitch, same thing. Just fill in the comments in the little section there. YouTube, same thing. I will pop as many of your comments up onto the screen as I can. I read as many to Lowell as I can as well. And of course, anything I don't get a chance to get to on the air, I do pass along to Lowell in a daily summary. Barry is on the line. You want to take a call?
Yeah, sure. We haven't heard from Barry for some time. Barry, what's your assessment of last night's debate?
I thought it was really good, Lowell. I'm really looking forward to the national debate next week in Edmonton. I think Pierre put Jean Charest in his place really well when he asked him the question, just like he did when he was in the committee meeting of just a number. How much did you earn? I thought that was really well done.
From Huawei, yeah. From Huawei, yeah.
I was very disappointed in some of the other people, though, like Leslie Lewis, the way she, as soon as Pierre Poilievre was told that he could go ahead and talk, she was just right over all over the top of him, and I didn't like that very much. I wasn't very impressed with that. One of the other candidates there, I'm sorry, Esteban, I can't remember his name, very big man, and he spoke it very well, saying, if we keep, he was shaking his head, and the other guy that's former Russian, he was shaking his head like, we can't keep going on fighting like this and having this kind of dissension. It's not going to show the people any kind of leadership at all. And I was really proud of Pierre Poilievre, the way he just sort of stood back when he was being heckled and grinned and sort of waved his hands like, well, it's my turn to talk, but how can you talk when somebody's talking over top of you all the time?
It was, do you agree with me, Barry, that it was exciting, it was fun, it was compelling, and I mean, compared to most of the debates we've seen, where very clearly there was very little bit of honesty. And the same thing as Charest. I mean, obviously he was goated, but he was being honest, and so was Pierre, and that's very refreshing, rather than this sort of pussyfooting around using words you don't really mean. Go ahead, please.
Well, the one part I really enjoyed too, Lowell, was when Jean Charest said something about blaming Pierre about calling people up or getting other people to make comments just before the debate, and he was referring to Preston Manning, and I thought it was very ironic and quite revealing that Preston Manning was there in the crowd. And the TV flashed over onto him, and the crowd started to boo Charest when he said that.
Yeah, Barry, we have to move on here, but I have no idea why Charest is in this. I mean, and after last night's performance, as I say, if I were him, I would just disappear. Thank you, Barry. Thank you, sir. Good to hear from you again. John, we have some texts coming in on us?
Sure do. Well, let's go to Facebook. Brian is following the Blast the Radio page. He says, debate is the only way to see a person's true colors. There should be more debates between our leaders. Craig says, Pierre has my utmost respect and full support. Peter adds to that. He says, Pierre gets my vote, shared and liked.
Yeah,
Peter,
but what I'd like to know, I'd like to go a little bit deeper. And if you saw the debate or you saw some of the coverage, what is it that impressed you? You say you're going to vote for him. What is it about Pierre that you find so attractive? What is it? And do you agree with me that he was masterful in his performance last night? He looked and sounded like a real leader. Go ahead, please, John.
I have to ask, by the way, because yesterday we started the show with you expressing your frustration that you had no idea where this was taking place, whether it was going to be on TV. So where did you end up finding it? Was it on like regular cable TV kind of thing, or was it streaming? Where was it?
It was streaming. I watched it streaming. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I also watch. Actually, to be honest with you, a good deal of the comments from the media coverage. I find it interesting to discover what the media finds compelling. And so a lot of and actually they picked up a lot of the highlights, in particular the back and forth between Charest and Pierre. But I was surprised, and that I was complaining at 2:00 yesterday afternoon that we didn't know anything about this.
Exactly.
But the room last night was jammed, so somebody knew about it. Go ahead, John.
Well, maybe that's it. They didn't need to do the work. They already knew they had a full house. Who knows?
Yeah, you're right. Actually, to be honest, now that you mention it, you're right. I did watch it. It was on CTV, I guess. I
Yeah.
watched some streaming, and then because I forgot about it, and then immediately I went and watched the rest on CTV. You're right. Go ahead.
All right. Because Ann just chimed in to say that CTV News Channel did carry the debate.
Yeah.
I didn't see it. I was otherwise occupied last night working on some weekend stuff for the radio station.
Oh,
but
you were out walking your dog again in that dog park. Come on, John.
I live at the dog park. I'm just looking at all the no parking signs, enjoying, the NIMBYs in Ottawa. But if it is, as you describe, a very compelling debate, well, of course, it's going to draw media coverage
Yep.
because that's just good for ratings.
Absolutely.
So that's exciting.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to Wednesday. I will not take the dog out for a walk Wednesday night. I will be a captive audience for that. All right, waiting on people to give you direct answers to your questions. Shane says, Pierre at the helm is the most capable of turfing JT and the Liberals. Chrissy says she would have loved to have watched that. Some of these comments are from earlier, Lowell, so don't get too upset with people.
That's
Yep.
fine. That's
Lisa
fine.
says, okay. Lisa says, I got an email from Patrick Brown's office saying he won the debate. He wasn't there, but he won. Interesting. Kathy says it was a great debate and Pierre is very well spoken. Carl pounded Charest about how much he got paid by Huawei, but never got an answer, of course. Peter's comment is great debate once we found it. Joshua says Charest tried to get Huawei with it. Wow.
Ooh.
Wow.
I'm blocking you after that one. Go ahead.
I'm just glad I caught on to that and was able to enunciate it properly and give it the tone it deserved. Fran says, Pierre was awesome. He knows his stuff, and he does not back down. He is a leader, and it shows. Again,
One of the things, I couldn't agree with you more. One of the things that's very evident is that Pierre Poilievre is by far the most intelligent of all of those candidates. He was well prepared. He knew exactly what to say. He never once did he stumble. He knew exactly how to respond and was unequivocal in his response. Very clearly, this is a very, very intelligent man, very well researched man, and I think that shows through as well. Go ahead, John.
Do you want to get a word in here for Shields?
Absolutely.
Right. Get to more comments afterwards.
Once again, folks, we're talking. People are still confused because let's face it, Shields is apparently just a small dealer from Pakenham. Their main store is on the main street of Pakenham, and it's not very big. Although they've got a good display of appliances, but the secret with Shields is they've got a huge warehouse, and as I've said before. If you're operating in Pakenham warehouse or whatever, your costs of operation are considerably below that from a major mall in downtown Ottawa. So as a consequence, whenever possible, and it's quite frequent, they pass the savings on to you. They realize that this is a highly competitive market. I'm talking about Shields, and they know what other companies are charging for various appliances, and so they do everything they can to at least match it, and in some cases they're able to beat it. So if price is important to you, and increasingly it is and should be, please, all I've ever asked is at least give them a chance. Don't bypass them simply because they're out of Pakenham. It's a big dealer. They've got all of the appliances you could possibly want. Probably the same week delivery, certainly within 2 or 3 days. It's in stock, and the price is very competitive, sometimes better. Shields.ca. John, well, I have another topic that I want to throw out here. I realize that a good many of you didn't have a chance to see the debate last night. I was under the impression, not sure why, that all of the rebates for the purchase of electrical vehicles had been stopped. But lo and behold, I find out it's not so. Now, Doug Ford did cancel all provincial rebates, but Justin Trudeau today hands out $5,000 of taxpayers' money to anyone buying a hybrid or full electric vehicle. In other words, buy let's say 120,000 Tesla, and we taxpayers fork over $5,000. Now, I mean, increasing number of us don't have enough money to buy bacon for breakfast, but by gum and by golly, we want to help the rich guys. So we can't afford bacon, we can't afford eggs, we can't afford potatoes, but by God, we can afford to give $5,000 to anybody that buys an EV. EV is electric vehicle. And that includes, by the way, the hybrids. $5,000. Buy an electric vehicle, hybrid or all electric, and we, the taxpayers, fork over $5,000. But you've got lots of money. I mean, you don't mind paying, you don't mind money coming from your pocket and going into rich guys, do you? Oh, imagine that. Only in Canada. And for what? I mean, I know we've argued this before, and that is that there's an assumption that somehow or other electric vehicles are better for the planet. I don't think that all the evidence is in on that. Don't forget, those batteries, they don't run on fairy dust. They don't run on camel pee, They don't run on buffalo chips or whale poop. They run in many cases, a good many of them are charged with fossil fuels. It's fossil fuels used to make the damn things, particularly the batteries. So are they better? Are electric vehicles better for the planet? I doubt it. But it doesn't matter. If you buy one, they're going to take money out of your pocket and give it to the guy that buys it. Beautiful. What do you think about that? Got any thoughts on that? Do you enjoy helping rich people buy their cars? And by the way, John, you got a big truck.
Yeah.
Anybody help you buy that one, baby?
No, and I help the auto industry in Canada. I help the oil industry in Canada with that. I help a number of auto service places by having that truck.
Your taxes go to repair the roads, build bridges.
Ain't nobody helping me, Lowell. And you know what I'm waiting for? If we're going to subsidize rich people to the tune of $5,000 for an electric vehicle,
We do.
can they please start buying electric yachts so we can subsidize that too?
Oh, God, don't suggest it.
Well, I mean,
Ah,
we're down that road, aren't we? Kind of. Sorry,
that
pardon the
road.
pun, but yeah.
Down that river. All right.
Yeah.
Let's hear some more text. What are people saying here?
Yeah, one comment on the electric car thing. Chrissy says, that's frustrating. I could see people have money to buy an EV, but what about incentives for people on lower incomes? The main chatter is still regarding the debate last night. Steven says, Pierre has my vote. He's very comfortable speaking and very articulate. I would not feel embarrassed anymore having him as a representative of Canada.
By the way, when we're talking about that, I paid special attention to Pierre's socks last night. And to my great joy, I didn't notice them. They appear to be just ordinary black socks.
Is that even allowed?
Bought at Tip Top Tailors or Walmart. Probably Walmart. Go ahead.
I'm hoping Giant Tiger, at least it's Canadian. Stu says, Trudeau flying in an electric plane. I want to see that. There you go. Deb says, missed last night's debate, but we'll watch it on CPAC YouTube when Lowell signs off today.
Okay, good.
Barry's back to say, my apartment building has no power plug-in if you want to buy an electric car. Has no power plug-in if you want to buy an electric car. JT needs to fly around the globe in a plane with rubber band propellers, says Shane. So I said we were going down that path. Here we go. Pierre connects with people like his passion, speaks common sense, offers hope for a better Canada, does not lecture Canadians like Trudeau does. Terry says,
that's interesting.
Yes, sir.
I'm
going too fast.
That's I hadn't thought of it in those terms, but that's right. He's not lecturing us. He lectured Charest a little bit, but
sounds like
he's standing. Yeah, he is standing up for the ordinary working person. Go ahead, John. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yep. The number here, 613-413-2217. We've got about 5 minutes left. If you want to get a call in, 613-413-2217. I began reading Terry's comment, and again, I apologize. I am going a little too fast here, Lowell.
No problem.
Terry says, we can't trust Jean Charest. Macaulay, Pierre was solid, as usual, and made Charest look really bad, especially when the CPAC reporter asked him about his support for the Freedom Convoy. You had a few comments on that earlier, too.
Yeah, actually, it was very interesting. Charest was giving hell to Pierre because he said you supported an unlawful demonstration, the convoy. And Pierre very carefully said what I did was, even before they arrived, I said that I supported those honest, hardworking truckers who were coming here and obeyed the law and didn't do what they weren't supposed to, and made it very clear that I was opposed to anybody who came here to cause trouble or break the law. Made that very, very plain. And then he turned to Charest and he said, "But sir, you have a lot of he was mighty rich to hear you talking about obeying the law, when you headed a caucus that was found guilty of stealing $500,000 of the tax money. So
Wow.
Charest once again still is smiling, but it's true. You remember the big scandal? I had
do.
forgotten about it. You're right. There was a scandal that they had. It was money somehow. I forget exactly, but yeah, Charest headed that call. Oh yeah, and then Pierre said the average hardworking trucker has more integrity than the entire caucus that you headed, Mr. Charest. Your entire liberal caucus that you headed. Beautiful line. Go ahead.
I need to join Deb and find that on YouTube a little later.
After this, I think if I were Charest, I would have just disappeared.
Well, as you say, go home and spend more time with my family.
Yeah, or either that I got a very serious headache.
Not tonight. I can't debate you tonight, Pierre. I have a headache. That's all.
Right.
Hanif, welcome to the show. Hanif says, "Oh my God, it's Lowell Green. I hope you're keeping well, sir. Does he still have the bomb? What's the bomb, Lowell?"
I have no idea.
Okay. David says, "Finally, a well-prepared conservative leader. It looks like Pierre's crew have a definite plan." Rick is in to say, "Looking forward to seeing Pierre ask the CEO of CBC, how much tax money did you spend last year? How much?"
Oh, by the way, every time Pierre talks about the CBC, he gets wild applause. Did I mention the fact that he turned to, I forget what it was that Charest was saying, and Pierre turned to him and said, "Well, Mr. Charest, just like every liberal, you heard that on the CBC." And of course, once again, the crowd gives him the big hand. It was quite beautiful. Go ahead.
Peter says, "Charest didn't even shake Pierre's hand at the end of the debate."
Well, in unfairness, Pierre didn't shake his hand either and made no effort to.
Okay.
Why should they? You know what? Can I tell you something? For them to shake hands after the way they went at each other would have been dishonest. And I think people understand that if any handshake would have been totally phony, which is not in Pierre Poilievre's handbook. He was totally honest. "I don't want to shake your hand. I don't like you." Simple as that.
So it had nothing to do with COVID protocol or anything like that. Then it was sheer, just, combative. Okay. Hanif is
Wait a
in.
minute. Yeah, Hanif says, "I would make a noise like a bomb." No.
There was a bomb sound effect that played. I remember it now. When people would say, "Hi, Lowell, how are you?" and you'd go, "I'm not worth a damn," and your producer would play a bomb sound effect.
Really? I'd forgotten that.
Yeah,
I stooped to that level.
Well, no, your producer did.
I used to listen to a talk show, a really good one in Montreal, and every time this guy had a whole range. Like, he had ballistic missiles that he would fire at people, machine gun fire, hand grenades, everything. It was really wild.
I've got about 100 hotkeys available here if you want me to load them up. I'd rather not.
No.
Yeah. No. Let's keep it clean. Fran says there was no handshake with Pierre when Pierre walked in either. So there you go. He said integrity in the tip of their baby finger. He said integrity in the tip of their baby finger, says Stephen. Okay. Peter says Charest didn't even shake Pierre's hand at the end of the debate. I think we read that already. Here's Craig saying, nope, we read that already. Carl, everybody except Pierre just wants to be conservative leader. Pierre's mission is to get rid of Trudeau. That's why he says he's running for PM. Gregory says this next federal election will be the most impacting election maybe in Canadian history. We need a real leader. Pierre has a plan and comprehensive perspectives. Chrissy says she wishes she had to watch that debate. And yeah, we did read that it was on CTV News Channel last night. There you go.
Yeah, don't forget, folks, the first official English language debate. There's only two official debates. Will be next Wednesday, which is May 11th. Coming out of Edmonton. I'm not sure of the time.
Will they debate in French too?
Yes, the French debate is in Laval a week later. Yep.
Cool. Looking forward to So there's 3 then we can actually consume.
Well, there's 2 official. The one last night was not an official debate.
Right.
Whatever that means. But the debates next Wednesday and the Wednesday following, English and language, will be broadcast nationally. They will be nationally broadcast debates.
There you go. I've got no further comments. I guess everybody wants to check out early and go watch the debate last night on YouTube and then listen to your show again on podcast and go enjoy their moms. And
Can I ask you a question, John? And
you can ask me anything.
Don't be offended by this.
Never.
You spend a good deal of time with your dog
Yes.
which is really a small horse.
It's only 120 pounds. What are you talking about?
In the Conroy, well, there's little horses now, less than that. Is it Conroy Road Dog Park?
So it's Conroy Pit, Conroy Dog Park. Yes.
Okay. And this is like the dogs don't have leashes.
Correct. One of 3 official off-leash dog parks in the city.
And you're telling me that it's always jammed. There are hundreds of people there plugging all of the parking spaces.
Drive up Conroy Road any weekend, especially. There's maybe room for 50 cars in the parking lot. I mean, this is acres and acres and acres of walking trails and hills and Conroy Road is jammed. And now, so I live on the opposite side, so I walk over, but parking's not an issue for me. But there's a tiny little park that has like 6 parking spaces. Well, they put no parking signs up and down every single street around there now, because I guess one of the residents was upset that people park their cars in front of my house to go to the dog
park. But I have a far more serious question.
I figured you would.
How in the hell can there be so many people in the middle of the day, every single day, out walking their freaking dogs? Does nobody work in this city anymore? Half the businesses can't find enough employees because they're all out walking their freaking dogs.
Well, dog walking businesses are growing. There's a lot of dog walking.
Yeah, but I mean, instead of walking your dog, why don't you get a job and help out these businesses and earn a paycheck, for goodness sake?
Hey, not everybody can produce the Lowell Green Show, okay?
Woof, woof. Thank you very much, all folks. Have a good weekend. The weather's going to be great.
Yes.
It's global warming has finally arrived. 20 years after they promised, global warming finally arrives this weekend, folks. Enjoy it because it won't be here long. We'll be back on Monday.
The Lowell Green Show is seen and heard live around the world at 2 p.m. Eastern. Connect with us online at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Can't join us live? Download the Lowell Green Podcast. Available on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green Podcast. This is a production of blasttheradio.com.